Hello everybody and welcome back to our playthrough of Neverwinter Nights, the original campaign. Last time we talked to Lanu and Bodyknot Glinkle and got some upgrades to our Lantanese ring and our pendant of the elf. Next up we're going to talk to Sharwyn.
So, we meet again. The others had told me Aribeth had recruited you to find cultists. I can't say I'm surprised. You've acquired quite the reputation for yourself, haven't you?
You again? What, are you following me around? Like I have nothing better to do, I suppose. No, I've my own skills, thank you, and my own reasons for being here. It looks like, to me, Lord Nasher is pulling out all the stops to find this cult. The search in Neverwinter is immense, and we mercenaries have been sent to Port Last to join the effort with you and Aribeth. Lucky us. So you were conscripted into the service by Aribeth? I've been paid good coin for my services by Lord Nasher, actually. It's another chance at acquiring some fame in my eyes, even though I've been told to merely offer assistance to you and Aribeth for now. So, do you need my help? I could use somebody by my side. It's about time you asked. I'm at your disposal, Covid. Alright.
Yes? Is there something you need?
Let's talk. Let's know more about you. Mine is no great tale, Covid. If you like, I could tell you of my beginnings as a bard. Yes, tell me about that. Well, you see, I learned the majority of my trade from Danon, my partner and my love. It was he who took me away from Neverwinter and my family. We were a team, a singing duo who earned our keep in taverns, traveling from town to town along the Sword Coast. We would camp off the roads, and I would listen in awe as Danon told me the old legends by the firelight. I loved him more as each night passed. So why aren't you with him now? An excellent question. At the time, I didn't think anything could separate us. He was my first, you see, and my belief in our love was absolute. It turned out that those times were the best. I should have cherished them more, for things were quickly about to get much worse. The fateful day came when we crossed into in the south. We received a rather sudden and unexpected invitation to sing before one of the wealthiest courts in Ethkatla? This was bad news? Well, Danon was positive that our long months of playing in taverns had caught someone's attention, that we were being rewarded. He was overjoyed. Myself, I was hesitant. I was not so sure of our abilities, so questioning the motives behind the invitation was far easier. I urged Danon to ignore the invitation, but naturally he would have none of it. It was the beginning of the end for us, really, though I did not know it. Perhaps it is a story I should tell you sometime. No, tell me the rest now. No, I've had enough of that story for now. I'm not in the mood, Covid. Come, let us adventure more. It will lift my spirits some, I think.
Yes. Is there something you need?
No, more story now. I just mentioned the invitation from Ethkatla, hadn't I? Yes, that's right. We went, though I had a sense of foreboding the entire way. The city of Coin lived up to its name. It was a golden, bustling place that rivaled even the great Waterdeep. The palace we arrived at was larger than any building I had ever seen. Danon assured me that we would find our fortune there, and for a while I thought he might be right. We were to play before the fabulously wealthy Lord and Lady Onaris. And all seemed well. What went wrong then? Nothing went wrong, at first. Danon and I were pampered and prepared for our performance, and it went off without any problems. We sang in a great hall before several hundred nobles. It still takes my breath away to think about it, and the applause for our duet was thunderous. I remember being exhilarated and pleased as Danon was. It was then that the Lord and Lady Onaris came to greet us in person. Lord Onaris was a fat and simple man who seemed bored. The lady, however, she was an exotic beauty. Violet eyes, elfin features, an astounding gown. Every man watched as she passed. Uh-oh, that does sound bad. I would have hoped not. I would have hoped that love meant something, but Danon didn't fail to notice her charms, that was certain. Of course, I asked why we were invited. Lady Onaris ignored me and fawned over Danon, saying how she had spotted him in a lovely tavern in Beregost and had wanted to meet him. I had been in Beregost too, of course, but I was completely ignored. She cooed over Danon, and he was flushed with pleasure at the attention. He agreed readily to a year-long contract to perform. Of course, I was not happy about it. Danon calmed me later and assured me that there was nothing to worry about. Nothing could have been further from the truth. Oldest story in the book. Perhaps, perhaps not. I fought for Dannon, but things weren't as they seemed. That is a tale I'll continue at another time, however. I tire of thinking about Dan Covid. Let us do something else.
Yes?
More now. Very well, Covid. I'd already told you we'd met the Lady Onaris, correct? That she'd fawned all over Dannon, but he'd assured me there was nothing to fear. Well, we were bound by contract now to perform, so we did. We did so well, too. It was not long before we were the toast of Athkatla, praised by the Lord and Lady Onaris at every turn. Nobles showered us with attention and gifts at every turn. Everyone wanted us to perform for them next. I was a bit dazzled by it all, but also concerned. Lady Onaris continued to lavish attention on Dannon. She called him to private performances without me, and he was spellbound, despite my efforts to distract him. Why didn't you leave him? Leave him? I couldn't conceive of such a thing. He was my world, and the longer I spent without him, the lonelier I felt. Desperate and angry, I accused Dannon of succumbing to her lust. He denied it angrily, and I believed him, almost. What did you do? After one of our largest concerts, I followed Dannon as he left the stage. I used what magic I knew to disguise myself, avoiding the servants and keeping pace with him. I felt terribly guilty for the deception, hoping against hope that my suspicions were for naught. Of course, I was disappointed. I watched invisibly as Dannon made his rendezvous with Lady Onaris, laying fevered kisses upon her and saying how every minute they were apart was excruciating to him. Why did they bother to keep it secret from you? Don't be foolish. They weren't keeping it secret from me. They were keeping it secret from Lord Onaris. He likely could have cared less, but appearances had to be maintained. In my shock, I must have dropped my spell, for Lady Onaris spotted me. She did not care. She only laughed lightly and pointed me out to Dannon. He merely looked at me and smiled. I merely stood there dumbfounded as Dannon called me a foolish little girl, pathetic even. Not only did he prefer Lady Onaris, but he had never loved me. I fled, their mocking laughter ringing in my ears. I fled them. I fled Athkatla, and I have never been back. That's horrible, Sharwyn. Yes, I was devastated. I had left the security of my family to make Dannon my world, and it had crumbled around me. As I said, however, things were not as they seemed. I found out much later that Lady Onaris's beauty was the result of an enchantment, a glamour. She had spellbound Dannon in the literal sense. I had also discovered that a lock of nymph's hair will break her spell. Dannon will be released, and her glamour will end. She will revert to her natural appearance, old and fat, so I hear. Are you sure Dannon is still with her? Yes, so the story goes. At any rate, he has been a famous bard in Athkatla for years, and she is still his patron. A fairy tale that will end one day. Everyone should be allowed their little illusions, perhaps. I admit that it would give me some small satisfaction to remove her spell once and for all. All it will take is finding that nymph's hair. One day, perhaps, I shall discover some. I believe I have a lock of nymph's hair here. That is nymph's hair, isn't it? You are a marvel, Covid. Dannon will be freed, and Lady Onaris revealed for the fat old woman she is. Or is that what I want? I have been looking forward to this for some time, but I fail to feel any excitement over it. Perhaps you should just let it be, then. You're right. Of course you're right. I've held on to this for too long, Covid. It's time to let it go. Thank you, Covid. I wish I had something more to thank you with. Maybe I'll think of something later. Let's go on, shall we? Alright. And we got the Belt of Performer +3, which replaced our other belt. So now not only did our Charisma bonus increase by 3, but our Perform and Persuade also increased by 1. So now, with our belt and ring on, our Persuade skill is all the way up at a 10. That seems kind of low. Oh, that's because we put the Lantanese ring on. No, that is right. Charisma +3. Is that right? Huh. I thought it would be higher. I mean, I guess it's the highest skill that I have, right? Besides lore. Interesting. In any case, yeah. Our Persuade is all the way up at a +10 with that. Solid. But for now... Oh, and because these are new items, I actually have to reapply them to the hotbar. They're different items completely. Alright, onward. Now for the difficult to voice act, Grimnaw, who has a terribly raspy voice. but we'll push through.
We meet again. I taste a storm of slaughter on the air. I'm not surprised to find you here at the center of the whirlwind.
What are you doing here, Grimnaw?
When we parted ways, COVID, I meant to return to my order, but I bowed to the Silent Lord, and I discovered I could best serve his will by staying in Neverwinter for the time being. I am eager to find and slaughter those who unleashed the Wailing Death upon Neverwinter. Thousands were taken by the disease, their essence stolen from the grasp of true death. That is why I answered Lord Nasher's desperate call for mercenaries to come to port last. He is also anxious to root out those behind the Wailing Death.
How much will it cost for your services?
When Aribeth recruited the mercenaries, we were all paid in advance for our services. Well paid. Lord Nasher is sparing no expense in tracking down these cultists. Our instructions were simply to make ourselves available to whomever requires our assistance. So, in that spirit, is there anything I can do for you?
I could use a monk by my side.
Then together we shall sow death and destruction throughout the land in our quest to destroy those behind the Wailing Death.
Is there something you need?
Let's talk. Alright.
I am a monk of the Order of the Long Death, COVID. I am defined by the customs, tenets, and beliefs of my order. Simply put, I worship death. Understand, I care nothing for the petty gods who squabble over and lay claims to death's portfolio, for I serve death itself, the silent lord who rules us all.
Tell me more about your order, Grimnaw.
We of the Long Death train, study, and serve our masters. We strive to transcend the earthly world through mental discipline and philosophical understanding of death. We worship the very essence of Silent Lord, and we honor the tools that prepare us all for our inevitable, inescapable end: pain, suffering, torment, agony. Our beliefs are difficult for most to accept, and the Order of the Long Death has many powerful enemies.
What kind of enemies are you talking about?
Our embrace of the Silent Lord has brought us into conflict with many who do not understand the beauty of death. Many fear their mortal end. For most, will simply use pain, anguish, torture, and suffering to release them from this fear. We will prepare them for the cold embrace of the Silent Lord. But there are some who go to extremes to avoid their fate. They use foul rituals and dark necromancy to deny the Silent Lord that which is his due.
You're talking about the undead, right? Liches and zombies and the like?
The undead are a foul abomination. A denial of the natural order. We of the Long Death are in constant conflict with necromancers and their minions. I have seen firsthand the horrors of a war with the undead, COVID.
What do you mean?
This is not the time to speak of such things, COVID. We must focus on rooting out the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak on this later, when the time is right.
The time is right now.
Is there something you need?
Earlier, I mentioned my order's hatred of the abomination that is undeath, COVID, and I hinted at my own experience in battling such evil. I am not eager to dredge up those memories, but if we are to stand together, you deserve to hear the tale.
What happened?
Shortly after I had come to join the Order of the Long Death, one of my fellow monks returned to the monastery with ill news. He had discovered the lair of a powerful lich. Our service to the Silent Lord demands that we destroy such an affront to death, so we marched forth to destroy the foul creature and end its unholy existence. I myself never faced the lich in battle, but I was one of the many assigned to the task of destroying the lich's zombie and skeleton servants. Never have I felt such revulsion or terror during a battle.
I thought you liked killing it in death.
There is beauty in death. The exquisite agony of a mangled soldier's screams well up in a glorious crescendo before ending in a single perfect note of eternal silence. The writhing torment of a flailing body is transformed into the magnificent truth of a frozen corpse, forever stilled. But when a corpse is not still, when the dead continue to shamble and stumble forward in a gross caricature of living flesh, where is death's beauty then, COVID?
I didn't realize you were so squeamish.
My order killed scores of zombies in the crypt that day, COVID. Their bodies disintegrated beneath my blows in a shower of rotting flesh, yet they pressed inexorably forward. But the true terror has yet to come. From the back of the tomb, where the highest-ranking monks of the order battled the lich herself, waves of dark necromancy spilled out over battlefield. Several of my companions had fallen during the battle, and as the foul spell touched their corpses, they clambered to their feet, zombies under the will of the enemy we sought to destroy.
You mean you had to kill some of your own companions?
We do not fear death, COVID, and had I been able to bring the Silent Lord's touch to my fallen comrades, I would not have felt such revulsion at this memory. But a zombie has no mind. It feels nothing. The pain that purifies and prepares us for death has no effect on such creatures. The understanding that comes during the moment of death is forever denied to such creatures. I destroyed the animated lumps of flesh that were once my brothers and sisters in the Order, but I could not truly kill them. The undead can never be given such release.
What about the Lich?
The Lich was destroyed, as were all its minions. We burned its lair, setting fire to the crypt so that the dark magic might be cleansed from its sacred place of death. But even though we were ultimately victorious, the cost was terrible. The horror of the battle still haunts me still, as does the fate of my fallen brothers and sisters from the Order.
I'm sorry for what happened to your other monks of your Order, Grimnaw.
I thank you for your words, COVID, though I doubt you truly understand. You bring death and destruction, but you do not understand it as we of the Long Death. The true horror of what happened to my brothers and sisters is too terrible to comprehend, but I have vowed to free them from their torment of their undeath.
How do you plan to do that?
You are a servant of the Silent Lord, COVID. You bring death and pain to the world,
yet even so you are not
a member of the Long Death. My Order has secrets I am not yet ready to share with you. This is not the time to speak of such things, COVID. We must focus on rooting out the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak of this later, when the time is right.
Is there something?
My Order has many secrets, COVID, secrets we do not reveal to those outside our monastery. Yet you have proven yourself a friend of the Long Death before. You aided me in finding the ring of Alaganda. I believe you would have helped me bring death to her, had she still been alive when we found her. Perhaps you can be of service to my Order once more, for without your aid, I fear my brothers and sisters will never escape their terrible fate.
What do you want me to do?
I should begin by explaining what happened after we burned the Lich's lair. The corpses of our own, those who had risen against us, were brought back to the monastery of my Order. There we sought to enact ancient rituals to release their essence from the curse that had bound them to their animated corpses. But the chains of undeath are not easily broken. The ancient rituals require rare components, and we had many casualties. A few we were able to save, but the others remain trapped in undeath until we can find more of the necessary components for the ritual.
What kind of components are you looking for?
The components must come from the crypt of a powerful undead monster, but it must be something that has not yet been tainted by the creature's necromancy. For example, we would require the preserved hand from an inanimate corpse within a mummy's crypt. Only the power of such an item can release the essence of my brothers and sisters into the grasp of the Silent Lord. I will not abandon the search for the cultists behind the plague. I have pledged to aid you in destroying those who release the foul taint of the Wailing Death. But during our mission, I will not give up my search for the mummified hand of an inanimate corpse that can release my brethren from undeath.
I have a mummified hand here. Will this do?
Let me see. Yes, this may work. The taint of undeath has not yet contaminated the desiccated flesh of this limb. Look at this severed hand, COVID. See how the withered flesh has grown so tight and thin it exposes the delicate perfection of the bones underneath. Isn't it beautiful? I thank you for this, COVID. On behalf of the Order of the Long Death, I have no reward to give you save the blessing of my Order.
The reward you offer is greater than you know, Grimnaw.
You will find that the blessing has enhanced the properties of the amulet I gave you when you found Alaganda's ring for me. Once again, COVID, I thank you. Now let us return to the task at hand. Those behind the Wailing Death must still be dealt with.
Alright. And with that, we get an increase to our Amulet of the Long Death, granting us a Constitution bonus of +3. Unfortunately, our spell resistance from the amulet didn't increase any. Maybe it will later. Alright, we gotta make sure to separate from Grimnaw. I think we need to part ways now, Grimnaw.
Together we can sow death and destruction throughout the north. Why would you break up our partnership and deny the Silent Lord his due?
I just think it's time we parted ways.
We part now, but you are destined to swim in an ocean of blood. Our fates are intertwined, and I shall wait here for your inevitable return so we may once again join together to perform the will of the Silent Lord.
Alright, creepy little guy. Later. And unfortunately we don't have Tommy's quest item yet. That will be when we reach the South Road. But we can actually talk to Aribeth, and I think we might be able to advance the story a little bit.
I am pleased to see that you remain safe, my friend. Lord Nasher tells me he is confident of your success, though I do worry at the danger in which you place yourself. Have you yet discovered any new information on the cult?
I have located some information about the cult.
This is good news. What have you discovered?
Show her the letter to Vardok. I like the fact that they animate in a scroll for her to read.
Strike at you again, and this time they have given themselves away in the process. Well done. This information suggests that this Mogrim and his cult are to be found within Luskan. I do wonder, however, if this is not some attempt on their part to deceive us. Perhaps they meant for you to find this? I would like you to continue your investigation, just in case. I need a second piece of information that supports the first to be absolutely certain it is the truth. We can afford no mistake.
I shall continue the search.
I wish you luck. I am pleased to see that you remain safe, my friend. Lord Nasher tells me he is confident of your success, though I do worry at the danger in which you place yourself. Have you yet discovered any new information on the cult?
You said I should ask you how you became a paladin.
I did say that, didn't I? Are you sure you wish to hear the tale? It is not an exciting one, and I would not wish to bore you.
No, I want to hear it.
As you wish. Do not complain later, however, if you find the tale does not live up to your expectations. I am, after all, no bard. Where should I begin? My family lived in a human village in the wild lands of the northern mountains, and I once longed for nothing more than to be a skilled hunter, as my father was. The village was destroyed when the orcs massed and attacked the Southlands. My family was killed, though I survived. For years I thought of little but wreaking bloody vengeance upon the orcs. I stalked the crags with my bow, mercilessly killing all I crossed.
So how did you become a paladin after that?
It was not an easy thing. My lust for vengeance consumed me. I was no better than the beasts I hunted, to be truthful. On the 5th winter of my hunt, I stalked an orc tribe deep into the spine of the world and encountered a blizzard so terrible I could do naught but camp and pray. The blizzard was merciless and lasted days, and as I lay dying in the snow and wind, I spotted a human man approaching. I thought I was mad. He was tall and strong, though I noticed he was missing his right hand. The cold did not seem to affect him, and he looked down at me kindly and picked me up from the snow without effort. I remembered nothing beyond that. When I awoke, I found myself at a small Ilmitary monastery near the city of Silvery Moon. The monks told me I had nearly died.
Who was the man who saved you?
I have often thought that he was none other than an avatar of Tyr himself, the Lord of Justice. Though perhaps that is presumptuous of me. Whoever he was, the Ilmitary monks had not seen him bring me, and I never saw him again. Or perhaps I should say, I never saw him in person. He came to me time and time again in my dreams for many months afterwards, telling me that my vengeance would bring no true justice. I refused him at first, determined to return to my bloody hunt. The dreams came more frequently, and the man grew more stern with me. The path lay elsewhere, I was told, and reluctantly I left the mountains and came to Neverwinter and entered the service of Tyr. The dreams never came again.
What happened then?
Tyr's clerics took me in, and over time I learned their ways and grew to admire the maimed god. I chose to champion justice instead as his paladin, and found peace at long last. My dedication saw me rise through the ranks, and it was much later that I encountered the young acolyte Fenvic, and knew that I had found my true path at last.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sadden you.
No, I thank you. Thank you for listening to my tale. You have been a great comfort to me. I am glad that you have come to work for Lord Nasher. You have so many admirable qualities, he could not be better served. I would be glad to call you a friend. Tyr only knows that finding a friend in times like these is difficult enough. I hope you feel the same.
I do.
I am glad, my friend. Let us return to the subject of your mission, then.
I'll go now.
Then I wish you well, my friend. Return to me as soon as you can.
Alrighty. I believe that's everything we need to do. Oh, I suppose we could turn in some of the ears real quick to the bounty hunter office.
'Tis good to see you again. Have you had any luck tracking down the bounties?
I have one of the ears. Aye, you've found one of the convicts. Which ear do you have? There. Zor's ear. Aye, 'tis indeed the markings that the men of the bulwark told me of. Congratulations, lad. You've done a great service for us all. Ooh, chance to increase our persuade. I'd be pleased to offer you the bounty for it, then. Surely the town's safety is worth more than that. Ye be right. Me coffers be small, but I will add what I can to your rewards, and you did earn it. Might ye have another of them ears in your pack? Wyvern's ear. Aye, 'tis indeed the markings that the men of the bulwark told me of. Congratulations, lad. You've done a service for us all. I'd be pleased to offer you a bounty for it, then. Failure this time. I wish I could, lad. The gold of the bulwark sent me is all I can spare, however. Might you have another? Delilah's ear. Alright. Same thing. And another failure. Shucks. Alright. 1 success, 2 failures. Oh well. We tried our best. Put on the correct rings again. And out we go. Let's check our quest real fast. The missing druids we can finish up when we head back to the grove later. Serpent's gems. Tomes. We can turn in one of the tomes. The gems, probably not worthwhile until we find all 3 to talk to Aribeth again. Still have a werewolf to check in on. Still have to check on Neva, but that's down south. After we finish the Neverwinter wood, we'll work on that. So yeah, I think this is our last thing to do in town before heading back out to the Neverwinter wood.
Have you exciting news for me, or is this just a routine visit? Either way, I'm pleased to see you again.
I have one of the tomes you seek. That is most excellent news. Please, let me see what you have. Oh, this is so very exciting. Offer the Tome of Resonance. Well, well, the Tome of Resonance. Though I hoped otherwise, I felt certain I would never see it amongst my collection. You have my admiration and appreciation. This should keep you quite happy indeed, I would think, don't you? Now, tell me what else I might do for you. You want to give me more money, don't you? The tomes are rare indeed. Fine, I will give you what I can, but I do not ask for more. Nice. Good night, sir. Come again. So what we get? We got an extra 100 gold pieces on top of the 500 gold pieces. And we got 125 experience points. Oh my goodness, we're so close. We need 55 experience points for our next level. So that's probably what's going to happen next episode. Because this is a good breaking point. I'll teleport back to the Neverwinter wood. I don't really have anything else to sell. We made it. Good efforts. I think last episode with Nurik and selling off all of our stuff. And we are well set up to take on the spirit of Neverwinter wood. Alright. Let's actually just finish this off right now. An ancient altar covered in grotesque carvings, bloodstains, some fairly recent, and surrounded by bones, looms ominously beneath the waterfall. So there's lots of different things you can do, waving the dagger in random patterns above the altar, sacrifice a small willing creature on the altar using the ceremonial dagger, draw forth the dagger and plunge it into your chest. Using the dagger, scratch your initials into the altar. draw the blade of the dagger across the palm of your hand and drip blood onto the altar. Most of these, I think, do nothing. Scratching your initials into the altar will summon a dire bear that will attack you. But I don't think you get any experience points for it. What you want to do to move forward is actually kill yourself by plunging the dagger into your chest. And you are transported to the realm of the spirit. And that is where we will pick up next time. I'll catch you guys later.